Hello and welcome to this Unreal Engine video. I'm the Festmaster, and today I'm going to be talking about an AI system that I'm beginning to create. This will be the first of multiple videos. So the goal for this AI system is to have a complex AI capable of working in a combat scenario. So for that, I've built a sort of arena here that both the character and the AI should be able to navigate. It's still incomplete. I haven't added ways for the or pathing for the AI to jump or anything yet, but it's close. The next thing I did was modify the first person character a bit. So if I just play this real quick, you'll see I can shoot. If I click Q, I enter a burst shoot, and then I also have an automatic mode. Also, I can hold the right click to zoom, which will automatically go into burst if it's in automatic, but also has the single and the burst modes. The other thing I did is slightly speed up the player, and then when I hold shift, the player can sprint. The player also has a crouch mode, which slows them down, and it is a toggleable crouch. And did I add anything else? I do not believe I added anything else to it. So let's look at the code for this. First thing, for the sprinting, I added a sprint button that when pressed, it checks to see if the player is crouching, and then if the player is not crouching, we set the sprinting variable to true, get the character's speed, multiply it by the sprint rate, and then set that max speed. Then if it's false and the character is not crouched, so this basically disables sprinting when the character is crouched, we turn off sprinting and then divide the max speed by the sprint rate and set the max speed, so this goes back to the original when you are walking. Crouching just does when pressed goes into a flip-flop for crouch and uncrouch, which are functions existing in the character. You do have to enable crouching, so if I go here under nav movement capabilities can crouch, this is not ticked by default, so that is one thing that I changed. And then under zooming, first when you zoom, it stops you from sprinting, so you cannot sprint while zoomed, and then it sets the camera's field of view to the zoom field of variable, which is set to 45, and then when released it sets it back to 90. And then for firing the weapon, I actually basically condensed what already existed in the first person character template into this fire gun function. And then I have a firing mode, which is a byte variable. And then I made a macro to switch on byte 3. So if it's 0, 1, or 2, it'll output into the correct pin. And then if it's none of those, it'll output into other. Just basically allowing me to condense my graph a little bit. And then for 0, it just fires the gun once. If it's anything other than 0, it sets it to 0 and then fires it once. On 1, it'll fire it 3 times with a slight delay in between of the fire rate, which is 0.1. And then for 2, I set a timer by event, which is this auto fire, it just fires the gun. It's a looping event, and the time is that fire rate. Now the handle goes into a clear and invalidate timer by event, which is called on the release when the firing mode is 2. And then I have a switch firing mode button, which is Q. And then I add 1 to the firing mode, and if it is equal to 3, I will set it to 0, so it stays between 0, 1, and 2. And that's the modifications that I made to the first person character. I also slightly modified the bullet. I made it quite a bit smaller, as in the sphere radius is 5 rather than, I think the default is 16. And then also on event hit, I changed it to apply point damage to whatever is hit, as well as have this variable called shooter, which is a controller, because this is the bullet also going to be used by the AI enemies. And so this will apply point damage to whatever is hit, and then the bullet gets destroyed. Now, if we go in here, I'm just going to simulate. Then if I select my AI guy here, he has a pawn sensing component that doesn't do much. I can actually, under the target, choose an actor, and he will currently run to it. This was a prototype just to test, can I get a state machine AI working? And he runs to the actor. So if I stop that, I will show you how that works. I have a pawn here, which is just all default stuff except for a pawn sensing component that I added in. It doesn't have any code connected to it at all. And its default controller is this AI controller base, which just has a SMS or SM state machine component. This is from a plugin. I cannot remember the name at the moment. I will put it on text. That basically adds state machines that can be used anywhere. So what this does is just starts the state machine and then gets the pawn and sets that to a variable called AI pawn. Now this is the state machine. If we go to its event graph, it just gets the context, which is the object it's running on, and casts it to an AI controller and sets this controller variable. And then I have a distance to target variable, which allows it to reset. Now, the state machine itself is very simple. There's an idle state and a move to target state. Each of these has code attached to it, such as, and right now I just have the idle state print idle when it's running, and the move to target prints moving, and then will get that controller that I've set in the event graph, get its AI pawn and the AI pawn's target, and move the controller to that target with accepted radius and settings. Now also these rules for traveling in between basically get the distance between the AI pawn and the target, and if that is greater than or less than the distance to target match, as well as whether or not the target is valid, is used to determine whether or not it can transition between states. This is quite simple and was just to test to see if these state machines can be used for AI and how difficult it would be. In the upcoming, I will be making a much more complex AI and demonstrating that. Now, I haven't fully determined whether I want to make this AI system a way for groups of AI to battle each other, or a way for them to fight the player. I've set this map up currently as a way for them to fight the player. I may build a completely different map if I decide that the AI should be fighting other AI. Some of the features that I plan on having is that the AI will try and duck behind cover, as well as the AI will perform jumps, such as from here to here, and then to here, to get places, rather than running around in a long loop. And also, as you can see when I run this, and I just give him a target to run to, he's always facing the target as he's running. It doesn't look realistic. There is quite a bit of work that needs to be done to make this an actual good AI system. So I will be building that soon. I wanted to get this first update onto this multi-video project out, and I hope you enjoy, and I will be back relatively soon with a better AI system.